It's Brainwash with Dr. Tom. We're here with Benjy Johnson out of Greensboro, North Carolina. With guitar picks, we've asked him to select 20 of his influence songs. REO Speedwagon, Flying Turkey Trot.
And then they move it up a key. Same thing. That was a concert that I went to in 8th grade, something like that, where they had the cool hit song or whatever, and it was like the first, one of the first concerts that your parents would let you. It was squeaky clean enough to be able to go to and not get in trouble. So we talked our parents into letting us go see REO Speedwagon. I don't remember who opened for him. Somebody cool opened for him, and we went to go see him. And in the middle of the show, man, they play this tune called "Flying Turkey Trot." And basically what it is an instrumental song where the guitar player gets to do his whole guitar solo thing. And I was blown away, man. And because they had a top 40, hit. I think "Keep On Loving You" was what their song was. And they had it was that tour, and they had that whole thing going on. And it was an awesome show, but at the same time, I listened to Eddie Van Halen, and I listened to Randy Rhoads and things like that. So I go to see REO Speedwagon, who are basically pop. And these guys come out with this southern rock sounding thing. You see the video on MTV, it doesn't look like that. And these guys come out with... And it just blew my mind because it was really cool. They had a guitar solo. It was one of those things where the band didn't market themselves as having a guitar hero in the band. So you wouldn't think that was that whole 70s arena rock thing, and you wouldn't think that they would have taken the time out of their set to have a guitar solo or a drum solo. But not only did they have a guitar solo, Gary Richrath was his name, and he played. It was awesome. A great guitar solo, had the whole instrumental song, and I went out and bought the album, man. You get what you play for.
I'm buying this album right now.
Yeah, and I did, man. I did. I bought the album because it was the only one that I could find that had Flying Turkey Trot on it.
It's Brainwash with Dr. Tom. We're here with Benjy Johnson out of Greensboro, North Carolina. With guitar picks, we've asked him to select 20 of his influence songs. Steve Vai, Call It Sleep.
He uses about every trick that he possibly can. He basically he states that melody line. And then he plays like just total circles around this simple melody line. And plays every variation of it that you could possibly is the melody line, basically. Just it's like a 2-chord drone background, and he states that melody line. That's Steve Vai's whole thing. He'll get a melody line and he will state it. And he and Joe Satriani are kind of the same thing. They'll go in and they'll state a melody line just like a pop song would, or just something that'll get stuck in your head. It'll show you, it's like he's got his whole lick catalog, but the whole song he states that melody line and he'll come back to it. And he'll come back to it and just sit it back down to that clean, that to the clean channel that he's actually got going on at the beginning. It sounds like just a total jazz song at the beginning, and then he goes off into La La Land, and goes way overboard. I mean, he's got the whole, he's got the whole whammy, He's got that whole thing going and kicks in the distortion and the wah-wah pedal and everything. And I mean, it just goes absolutely nuts. And he's doing stuff like, you'll hear him like tap on the, he takes a string at one point. I think he takes a string at one point, and he whammies it down, and it sticks to the magnet. Like he sticks it to the magnet of the pickup, and then he comes back up with it with an actual note, that he's doing. I mean, hey man, if I could sit here and play it all note for note for you, I wouldn't be, sitting here talking to you. I'd be out cutting my new Benjy Johnson solo instrumental Rule the World with Guitar album.
It's Brainwash with Dr. Tom. We're here with Benjy Johnson out of Greensboro, North Carolina, with guitar picks. We've asked him to select 20 of his influence songs.
Joe Satriani had just started playing a guitar that had a fixed bridge on it. It's basically the rhythm of it. It's a very, very, very super simple song. But when the record came out, he had done the whole, Guitar Hero. I mean, and he doesn't get away from that. But he had started playing a guitar that had a fixed bridge on it. Mm-hmm. I remember seeing that. It had a different set of pickups in it. And I thought, if he's playing that guitar on this album, it's not just all going to be, whammy bars and going crazy. And this was the first song, when I popped this in and it hit me, it was like a whole different thing for him. I mean, it's very major, key. It's drop tuned to D. He writes songs like they should have vocals over them. They have a verse and they have a chorus and they have a bridge, and they even have a guitar solo in the middle of them. Although the whole song is a guitar solo, and I'm trying to think of what the melody line is to that song. He goes outside of a thing, he'll play a melody line to a song and then he'll embellish on that melody line a little bit as he goes. He'll lay it down at the beginning of the song. Here's the melody line. Here's the way the melody goes. Verbatim, and then he deviates from it as he goes. I'll be walking around and I'll be humming it in my head like it's a pop song, or like if it had words, I'd be singing it. And that's how his melody lines just kind of stick. In there's a thing that comes across in a lot of the songs that I listen to that has a very rootsy sounding thing to it. I mean,
is that the North Carolina?
That it's and it is. I mean, and these are the ones later on down the list, of course. But I mean, the chronologically later on down the list, the first ones, that's just what I was into, at the time, and those were my guitar heroes.